Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a bit of an experiment tonight.
Hey, good evening.
Hope everybody can hear me okay and hear Mark as well.
Yeah, good evening. We're well, as you know, we're coming live from Karlovac, which is in Croatia. You can hear probably some background noises. So yeah, really good to see everybody, I'm sure, but I won't see everybody. So Andy's going to be my eyes and ears tonight. We'll show you some toy aeroplanes in a minute.
I'm hoping everybody can hear us. Nobody's responding to anything. Raise your hands if you can hear us okay. Hey, good. Mike Woodhouse can hear us. Nobody else matters. Oh, that's good. Let everybody know.
Brilliant. I don't know whether I should start from outside and show everybody what building we're in. I guess that might be a start.
Depends how warm it is.
Oh, it's not as warm as you.
Yeah, it's ridiculous at the moment.
I hear you're melting in the UK.
Yeah.
Good.
Approximately 40 degrees here. I've just got somebody's put up that chat's disabled. That's
probably why, isn't it?
Possibly, yeah.
So I'll show everybody the building first. I won't take everybody to the bathroom because that won't be good.
Chat's working for me.
Can everybody hear us?
Yeah, we had lots of hands went up, so people can definitely hear us.
Good. Well, let's flick around the screen and try and show everybody where we are. Might be forgive me as well. All this tech here. We're not brilliant with this tech. This building here that we're at. Just trying to get far enough past to see. So we're in Croatia. It's a former Eastern Bloc country, and we've got a rather nice sports hall here. It's a basketball arena. I would have to go quite a long way away to show you the full tell, but what I can show you is beautiful tennis courts here that they've got. If I can get this working, here we go. They got full tennis courts here and everything. So beautiful day, but not as hot as the UK. So let's go back inside.
Hopefully the chat's now working for everybody. I think we must have had a Zoom update since last time we did this, and it's changed the default settings. Yeah, we're in. Good.
Yeah. Oh, I just saw some comments come up. Brilliant.
Yes, I found where it was switched off.
Right. So I can actually see the comments. So for everybody who's there, this is a hall, and it's what we call a category 2 hall. It's 40 just under 45 feet high. There, and it's a basketball court. You've got bleachers on both sides, and you can see people running around with poles. We'll come on to the poles. Andy saw them earlier, and he cracked the joke about pole dancing. So we'll demystify that for you. But initially, we've been flying here since 8 o'clock this morning. The guys have all stayed on a little bit later, and they're not complaining. I think it's about 28 to 30 degrees in here, so it's quite warm, but it's not as hot as outside.
I think you need a jumper on.
Yeah, I hear you've just set all the records going, which is rather good.
Yeah, indeed. My car was showing 41 degrees earlier when I went out for a swim.
Oh, wonderful! Well, this hall has been arranged by a Croatian Canadian called Vladimir Lenardic. He's set this up as what we call an open international for anybody who flies free flight in the UK. What you will know is that there are lots of open and World Cup events throughout the country, throughout all of the world, in all different continents and countries. Well, for indoor duration, this has never really happened. But as of next year, there will be 3 or 4 World Cup events to occur. Currently, there's only this one for indoor duration, but the Americans and I believe the Romanians will be running World Cup events next year based on this format. So that's what this event is. It's very much in its infancy. There are quite a number of top flyers here today. This is the first practice session for F1D. You'll probably see an F1D model going past at the moment. The contest starts tomorrow, and there's been a couple of other sort of trial contests, and F1R, which is 35 centimetre contest, that was run today. At the moment, our British flyer Tony Hebb is winning that with a time of 25 and a half minutes, which wow, under a hall at this height is pretty impressive. So, I mean, what I would ask is if anybody wants to ask questions. I mean, we are ad-libbing this today, so any questions you want to ask, please, get them to me. And if I've got to ask somebody, there might be a language barrier, but I can always find a translator. I saw Tapio ask a question there. He was a good buddy of mine.
Can you still see the question?
No, it disappeared rather quickly, Andy. You're going to have to relay them to me.
It says, how much floor area compared to the Czech EC champs?
It's slightly larger. So there's a little bit more floor area. I'll walk to the corner and hopefully Tapio can get or actually what I'll do is I'm going to go up the bleachers. So if I fall over, you can laugh. I don't mind. So
if you fall over, this is going into you being framed, of course.
Yeah. So I'm doing my exercise for the second time today. Right. So, go the right way. So it's a full basketball court, professional basketball court. So Tapio, if you look that up, I'm sure you'll be able to understand the size of it. But the hall is superb. For all of those indoor duration flyers, the air conditions are superb, very buoyant, not much turbulence. Might be able to see some models. I can probably zoom in a little bit for you. There we go. So say not what Zoom was invented for, but we're trying, aren't we, Andy?
We are pushing the envelopes of Zoom tonight. Yeah, absolutely. And why not? We may use this format for another idea that somebody sent in, which we're more news on once we've checked out a few things first, but we're quite keen to do it.
So for those of you who asked the question about the pole, which you're bound to if you don't know, the poles are large fishing poles that we use, and we're allowed to use them to steer the model from hitting the sides of the building or the top of the building. You can't use them for an advantage of gaining height or losing height. But what you can do is you can save your model from devastation or running down the sides of a building. So the model you can see there is a chap called Aurel Popa from Romania. I think if I get this right, David Linley will probably correct me, but I think he's an ex-world champion. He certainly set some incredibly high times, some world record flights. I think the cargo lifter hangar, which was massive, he did something like 40 minutes with a model in there. Still holds the record, I think, for that. So yes, so there's the model going round. Let me zoom back out again, give you and we'll go back down again. I will have to look at the floor here, guys, because otherwise the YouTube would be, you've been framed would be rather good. So is there any more questions, Andy, there? I saw a couple pop up.
There are indeed. If everybody could put them in the Q&A, it might be helpful to make it a bit easier for me to keep up with them. First of all, there was a question, comments on differences in rubber. Are there really any?
Yes. Yeah, there's lots of differences in rubber. We could probably have a whole session on it, but in essence, we're using the older rubber type, which is Tan 2 rubber, not Super Sport rubber. Tan 2 rubber is softer. It has a different energy curve, and it just works brilliantly well for indoor duration models. Whereas the new Super Sport is a brilliant rubber. I use it outdoors all the time, as Tapio does and others. It's much higher energy, but it's quite difficult to use for indoor models. It has been used successfully, but not all the time. Not all the time.
Okay. Right, Jim Wright is asking what the ceiling height was there.
So we're looking at 40, just under 45. I think it's what they call a perfect Category 2 site, and you'll have to forgive me because I didn't research that beforehand, but I can't tell you exactly. But I think it's about 40 to 45 feet. So, okay. And it's actually, so if you look up in the top there, you'll see some ribs. So you've got all the ribs, and then you've got these what we call purlins, and there's 4 of them up there you can see at the moment. Well, the distance between the middle 3 is 15 meters. So you've got a little bit extra height, and we're allowed that with the rules. So it's absolutely perfect. And actually, one of the guys, Dima, one of the Ukrainians here today, there's a number of Ukrainians here, which is wonderful to see. And believe me, they've, some have traveled many hours to get here through war-torn Ukraine, but he actually set a world record yesterday, albeit unofficial because it was after the contest, with his hand-launched glider, which was incredible to see. So yeah, really quite exciting for us aficionados of indoor duration. So
can, because it was outside of competition, then won't it count as a world record?
No, it won't count because it wasn't actually sanctioned beforehand. He would need to sanction it with his national federation. Otherwise, it has to be within the contest, and it was only one timekeeper as well. So, but it was. But he said he'll do it next year instead. So there you go. There's confidence.
A few questions come in. I think I know the answer to this one, but I'll let you answer anyway. Donko is asking, will there be a scale slot?
No is the answer. The World Cup event is purely indoor duration, so it's primarily F1D class, but there are some other indoor duration classes around it. But no, unfortunately, the hall is not of that sort of scale and magnitude to be able to do a scale slot.
Yeah. Okay. And David Lindley was asking, says, you mentioned that this is a World Cup event. Has the FAI sanctioned an indoor World Cup, and are there specifications for a World Cup event published?
Right. Okay. So from what I understand is this is in its infancy, so it's still in the trial phase. I don't think there is a format for points. So for those individuals earning points through places, but I believe that the Kibby Dome next year is going to be one. David's obviously from the US, and I believe the Kibby Dome next year will be hosting one of those events. So I don't know is the answer to that, but this is one of the sort of trial events that is coming on stream.
Okay. And then I think this is a friend of yours, Chaz Campen, is vital.
It is indeed.
He's asking if you've got a fridge for the drinks.
Right. So I better go and show you beer. I mean, I will come back to all the modelers and that, and we'll talk to some of the modelers in a moment.
Here, obviously.
I mean, the organizer is just here, but if we've got to have a beer, knowing Chaz, it's he wants to see the beer. So it's a local brew, and I've saved him a cold can here. So hang on a minute.
I hope you're going to bring us some back.
I can probably do that, but it's so there we go on an empty table because I packed up early just for everybody. There we go. So we are. There we go. Cheers, everybody. Sound effects.
Excellent.
Perfect. Right. We'll get back round again. And I'm not that side of the screen, and we've got to go to the other side now.
Yeah. So and then going back, I think this relates to the polls. Sean O'Dwyer's asking how they're not hitting the ceiling or the walls.
Right. So if I can show you the poles here. So there's 3 people you can see in your screen there. And I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So this one is, sorry, I'm just change hands. Sorry, it's a little bit difficult to do it like this, but so what you do is with the pole, I've just got Ian's Kane's message coming up and stopped me from zooming. That's absolutely fine. We'll get used to this tech. So if you can see in a moment the models, what happens is when somebody's going to steer there, I don't know whether you can just about see it, but basically you gently tap the model. That's missed it.
Okay.
But basically that is the method is by using the poles to just gently maneuver them out the way. It's no more complex than that, but the rule is you're not allowed to change the attitude or the elevation of the model. So if it's going to stall and you decide to tip the back end up, you know, and change its attitude, you get disqualified. So you've got to be very careful.
Okay. Right, Jim is asking, with the 45-foot ceiling, what sort of times are you expecting for F1D?
Right, so F1D, we're expecting times anywhere between 20 will be a reasonable time. 24, I guess, is going to be a good time. And I would imagine somebody's probably going to do a 25-minute flight at least. Both myself, well, I was going to say Tony's done the same. I've been close to 21 today as a flight on a couple of occasions. But we've got a bit more energy in the rubber to go, a bit more risk goes once the competition starts. Often you put a couple of flights in just to actually sort of steady everything. And then you start to push the envelope a little bit and play a little bit more risk. The problem is that if you do hit the top, you can actually sort of run down the side of it. And it's a concrete structure up there. And there are obstacles. There's, if I can show you here as well, there's a basketball rather low in front, directly in front.
Yeah.
Well, we do that, and you can see, probably see there's a wire that goes all the way up. There's a couple of wires. So you get on there, you hang on those, and you don't come down. So you have to keep away from them.
Okay.
Should we see? I'm just going to take you over to Tony Hebb at the moment. He's just brought his model in, so we'll get a bit of a close up of Tony's model. And Tony.
Hi Mark, how are you doing?
I don't know whether you can hear Tony because it's I'm not sure the microphone. We haven't quite got a mic.
We could hear Tony there. So
you can hear Tony.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tony. I'm just going to try and I'll come back a little bit. There we go. Well, Tony's been flying all day. We're all ready for a few beers and some food later. But so how did that go, Tony?
First half motor flight was quite good.
So a half motor, just for everybody, half motor is, as it says, it's half the amount of rubber you're allowed to use, and then you use a spacer, and the spacer takes up the distance of the other portion of the rubber and the same weight. So what that means is you end up getting roughly half the duration. You don't fly as long, therefore you can trim. So Tony's just showing you now on the screen a spacer. You can see that. And that would go on. That would go on the F1D just there,
like this,
like that. And how long was that one, Tony?
That was 11 minutes 45.
11 minutes 45, which I can tell you is pretty impressive. And if it wasn't on live, I'd probably swear at that time. But anyway, he's doing very well. Let's put it that way.
He has thrown the gauntlet down, then, has he?
Oh, he has thrown the gauntlet down to the Brits. This is probably Dezo here. Dezo's from Hungary. I would say he probably builds the best models in the world. He's just the most accurate and precise. They are quite stunning. And I'm not going to get too close, but just to show you the film of the model. Can you see the color of it?
Yes, we can just make out the sort of rainbow effect on it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, a few people will know that the rainbow effect actually shows the thickness of it in microns. So it's actually, I can't remember whether the darker color is thicker or lighter, but it's actually a difference in color. denotes the thickness of it because it's down into the submicron region. Somebody will correct me on that. Tapio probably, because he's good, but he's good with that. But so anyway, there's Deso for you. He's been flying all day and he's taking a break. It is warm in here, as you can see.
Yeah.
I'm going to go and find the organizer because Vlad would like to say a few words, I think.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from Vlad.
I'm going to interrupt here. I'm going to interrupt. Vlad, you're live to 200. How many we got in? 200, or have we melted a few?
There was 202 registered. We've got the usual few that haven't turned up. So.
Right. Okay. So, Vlad, do you want to say a few words about it to the UK viewers? And also, we've got the Americans. A few Americans in as well. David Lynn is in, and others.
All right. Excellent. Hi to all my good friends. We miss you. We wish you were here, but here we are having a lot of fun on these 5 days of flying here in Karlovac. And we've had some competition already in the glider portion of the events. And now we're starting rubber events today with F1R, followed by F1D, then F1M and F1L on the 5th day. And we're glad to have everybody here.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Excellent.
Vlad's model here is pretty impressive. I'm not going to get too close. It's a bit like a Formula One car. It's rather top secret, some of the things that are going on here, and you probably won't want to show the whole world, but it is pretty impressive. And for those of you who don't know it, the whole model weighs 1.4 grams, and then we fly with rubber, which is 0.4.
Yes, of a gram for the rubber loop.
With the lubricant and little rings on it, which just they take it and allow it to be hooked up. So for all of you there. Yeah. And we also have a junior here who speaks brilliant English. Yesterday, I have to say, how many trophies did you win?
9.
9 trophies. Out of a maximum of what, 12, I think, 14?
14, I believe.
He showed everybody how to do it, and his grandfather is just over the moon with him as well. So, but well done. Have you got anything to say about the competition yesterday and today?
First of all, I have to thank you to, как se kaže, organizacija? Organizer for a good championship. That's all.
Brilliant. I put him on the spot there, but brilliant. Great English again, far better than my Croatian and
future world
Serbian.
Now, then.
A future world champion. We're sure of that, aren't we?
Excellent.
Yeah.
Hope so.
Well, we'll come see you in a minute. We're just going to show you a model going up. As Dima is launching his F1R. So this little model here. I don't know whether you caught that in time. Sorry, it was a bit.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah. And he's got his pole here now, and he doesn't need it because he's away with it. That model will go all the way to the ceiling fairly quickly.
Right, well, that's going round. Let's return
Let's
to
have some more questions. Yeah.
Yes. Apologies if I mispronounce this. George Kandilakis has asked, are the top flyers all using 5/99 rubber, or are there chances with other batches for top results?
Ah, right. Okay. So, yeah, this old question, the vast majority will be using 599, which is May 99, which is a batch of rubber that was produced in May 1999. It has slightly different energy properties to other rubbers, and it's sort of synonymous with the best rubber that you can get. Yes, the majority of the top flyers will be flying that. However, discussing with a number over the last few days, they're not all flying it. They're all using different batches. And what he might want to know is he start hunting out some February 99 is very good. And also we know July 99 is very, very good. So see how he gets on with that.
Okay.
We're just going to show you. We're just going to show you Vladimir winding a motor. For those of you who've never seen a motor being wound, so he's winding this piece of rubber, which is very thin, and hopefully I won't put him off and it breaks. It has a counter as well. You can probably see the counter. I'm getting in the way in a minute. He's going to tell me to. No, he'll be polite to me.
Very polite.
Very polite. And on this end of it, we have a torque meter. And that obviously tells you the torque of the motor. And that will be very precisely set up to ensure that when Vladimir launches, the model does the same thing time and time again. So, and there's his counter there. You can see how many turns he's put on it. Well, you could have done. It's just gone off, but I think it was 1,100 and something.
It's only for one of the first test hops.
So it's one of his. So we're going to watch him load up a model now, and we're hopeful he doesn't break it. If he breaks anything, we'll have to erase it, Andy, because it won't be fair. I'm really putting people on the spot. They'll hate me forever if it goes wrong. But he's been an amazing host, and we've had an amazing time. And Croatia is absolutely stunning, and we'll be back, no question of it. We're thoroughly enjoying the country and the hospitality.
It's good that these things are starting to all happen again, isn't it?
It's amazing. You know, people have travelled all over. You can see we do walk funny, we do walk slowly, and I'm not going to go too much further out because it's just not fair. There's a hell of a lot of time and effort goes into this model. You're going to watch him launch here now. I say it's the first few flights of this model. So disappears into the bleachers there.
Is that an F1D model?
That is an F1D model. So, and I have to say, it's an amazing building quality. I mean, he's impeccable with it. So he's rushing to get his pole ready now, just in case. Early part of a flight is often the most dangerous, and the top of the flight. But there we go. Oh, okay. I will get this gimbal, Andy. It's a bit like my drone flying. Right. Sorry. Should I take some more questions? I've got another model coming in close here, so I'm going to stand still before they all start shouting at me. It's Tony Hebb's. It's Tony Hebb's model, so that's fine. He'll let me.
Oh, you hope. Yeah. Question from Brian Lever: how many competitors will be there in total?
I'm guessing over the week, because we're here for a week, there's going to be 20 or 30, something of that ilk, which is a good turnout. It's not a massive hall, but it's growing all the time. The whole point of what Vladimir is trying to do here is to grow the popularity of this. So he's investing in people coming in, getting used to the venue and coming back. And he's sort of got a 4 or 5 year plan looking to do on this. So, you know, it's a very bold move, you know, and I think we're certainly from Britain, we're supporting it. We lost one member to coronavirus, so he couldn't travel, unfortunately. Otherwise, there would have been 3 of us here. Tony's just steering his model. You can just see that. Yeah. Okay, sorry, questions? Yeah.
That's okay. I think it's more of a comment from Chaz. I think commenting on the beer has just said brilliant.
Right, brilliant. Okay, well, look, I'm just going to show you a model box now, because this is part and parcel of what happens. How do you transport models? So, and this is a typical. This will be an inland one. This is not an air freight model box, much larger than you get on an aeroplane. But you can see lots of sticks and tail panes in there. And then if I go up to the actual box itself, and this is the worst bit. This is scary because you know, one slip and you can damage an awful lot of these models. But you can see that's how they all get transported around. There are smaller boxes which we use to travel in air freight. They go, for those who don't know, we take them on board in the cabin. In the cabin, and we put them in the overhead lockers. So that's how we take our models in. Sorry, Andy. You go for the questions, because I'm talking, I'm ranting.
No, that's okay. Barry Gregory asked a question, which I think we might have just seen the answer to with Tony prodding his model. He says, does the model only use the poles, or do officials use them?
Why would the officials? Sorry, I'm not sure the question. Sorry.
I think this is for steering them.
Sorry.
Is
Okay. So no. So the rules state that the flyer can actually steer. For those, we have one member, Zoltan, who's over the other side, who has a disability. He can nominate somebody to steer for him. So you can nominate somebody, but the officials cannot. You know, you can have a helper, but it's only if you have a disability. Otherwise, you have to steer the model yourself.
Excellent. And then next up, some thanks to pass on to Vlad from David Linley. Says thank you for putting this event together.
Yeah, I will pass that on. He'll be very, very pleased, and I'm sure he'll be talking to you, David, with regards to the event at the Kibby, because he'll be. I'm sure he's coming over. He's told me he was heading over to the Kibby anyway next year if he can, and I think.
He will also need to bring the young man over that has won all the 9 competitions.
Yeah, well, if he brings the young, I've forgotten the young man's name, but his father Slobodan would have to come with him. So his grandfather, rather, I should say. So and he makes the world's best baklava as well, or his wife does. There's been a never-ending supply of baklava.
Well, make sure you bring me some back.
I will. I will try.
You got priorities: beer and baklava. Leave your models if you have to.
Do you know what I like so much about this? We're not looking at me. We're looking at things that are going on. I've just realised that it's so much better.
Chaz has got a question from Chaz.
Can you go back for my beer? Hang on.
No, nothing to do with beer.
Back to the beer. Yeah, sorry.
It's a serious question.
Right.
Can you explain the variable pitch props, please?
Yeah, of course I can. I don't know how quickly you want me to do this, but what we'll do is I'm going to go over to Dezo's model and try and zoom in on a variable pitch propeller. He's just eaten his supper, so I'm going to try and keep Dezo out of it, otherwise he won't thank me. So that, if we can focus on it, is a variable pitch propeller. That's the hub itself, and there's the propeller. They're really difficult to see because everything's translucent. But basically what happens is, as the torque is high, so the rubber motor is a lot tighter, it's got a lot more turns on it, it allows the propeller blade to increase pitch. As the model goes through its routine, goes through its flight, over a period of time, that pitch will be reducing, and it gradually reduces. You can alter that by a spring. So there's a spring on there. So by increasing the tension of the spring, you can make the actual VP hub, the variable pitch hub, stay in a higher pitch for longer. And conversely, you can release it. So there's little screws. I haven't got a macro on this, so there's no point in me zooming in. But basically, there's some little screws that are about 0.8 of a millimeter, I think, aluminium but hollow threaded. And the VP hub weighs around about 0.7 of a gram, 0.07 of a gram, 70 milligrams. So not an awful lot. And it controls go on, Andy.
I was going to say, is the purpose then to try and maintain a steady RPM and thrust throughout the flight?
In many ways, yes, but sometimes no. So in a low ceiling like this, if one keeps the RPM very gradual all the way through, the chances are you'll not get the best time. Some of the best patterns are that you go off fairly quickly with a high torque. You get to a certain height, and then you allow the variable pitch prop to take over. The model will drop down a little bit because it's still in high pitch, and then at a chosen point through using the spring, it eventually kicks back in, and then changes to a low pitch, and off it goes again. So it will accelerate away, and that prevents you from hitting the ceiling too quickly. But there are lots of scenarios. There's so many different scenarios. You could have 3 sessions on this, and everybody will give you a different take on what to do.
Excellent, fascinating actually. So rather replaces the thumbs that us radio flyers use then in terms of
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is with a free flight model, it's free flight. So you have no control over it once you've released it. And that's the key to it. And the only good thing is that, sorry, I'm not focusing on, there we go. Because these are traveling so slowly, you can count the RPM. So we have lap counters that you use for running laps for motor cars, and we monitor the speed. Sorry, I'm going the wrong way. So you can see that the RPM of that is probably around about sort of 40 RPM, 38 to 40 RPM at the minute. That propeller, which is is very low. You get down to about 32 RPM, and then it becomes a little bit unsteady, and they often just fall out of the sky at that time. But can you see that the blades are almost flat as they come towards you? Don't know whether you can see how much pitch is on that propeller.
Yes.
As you go away, you can't see it, but as it goes away, you'll see they're very, very flat.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, they'll change eventually, and then the model's RPM goes up, and the model tends to climb with it. So that's the principle of it. But a good question, and hopefully I've covered it well enough.
No, I think so. Yeah, I think those of us that aren't familiar with this are certainly learning new things, which is always good.
Yeah,
question from Brian Lever. Good evening, Brian. Brian asks, can launches be made as low to the floor as possible?
Absolutely. And the only issue that you've got is that sometimes there's ground turbulence. So in here, so if the sun rises in the east over in that window. So in early doors, about a quarter of the court was bathed in sunlight. The sun then goes round. No sun comes onto the court, and that court then starts to cool down, and then eventually you can just see it's brighter up there at the moment. The sun is shining on the back of the hall, and it is actually screened. There are some screens up there, and the temperature actually stays really quite wonderful in here. So I forget the question, but
it was Brian was asking if launches can be made as low to the floor as possible.
Yeah. Sorry, so I was doing a typical politician going around the houses there, but not a typical one because some of them lie an awful lot, but we won't go into that. Right, yeah, so launching close to the floor, the issue is that if the floor is unevenly warm, then the model can be really disrupted. You get a ground effect of heat. So you would probably launch it at shoulder height typically, but yes, certainly in these lower halls, you might gain an extra 10 or 15 seconds by launching it by your feet. Absolutely, but you do run the risk of it just piling straight into the ground, just due to the fact that there's a heat disparity on the court.
Okay. You mentioned turbulence and ground turbulence. Yes. David Gins has asked the question: when people are walking around, do they create turbulence?
Yeah. So as you can see at the moment, everybody's been really good. There's nobody in the middle of the court. So everybody sticks to the perimeter, unless you're flying. Yes, you do create it. So people are starting to pack away here. We are going to be thrown out of the point at 8 o'clock. So 8 o'clock here, 7 o'clock your time. But yes, the point is that you walk slowly. You try not to run. Some people do every so often, and normally everybody starts shouting at them and you wonder what's happening, but it's normally because somebody's forgotten. But yes, the air that follows you can destroy a model. So yes, very, very important that you don't move quickly. The other thing that happens as well, that we're all sitting on one side in here, because the building is actually quite warm in here, and net body effects, the heat from our bodies is not really affecting it. But in places like the salt mine, where it's cooler or colder buildings, everybody gathered in one area means a lot of body heat, and the body heat can affect the models, and it makes them drift and creates turbulence. So yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a few more questions then. Jim Wright is asking whether steering poles have replaced the use of balloons.
Only in low ceilings, Jim. The point being is that there's no point in using a balloon in a low ceiling when you've got a pole that's 14 to 15 meters high. that can actually reach the models, it's far easier. And helium is on short supply, world supply. It's hugely expensive, so win-win basically. So the fishing poles that you see, if I zoom out, if I can zoom out there a little bit, let's see if I can. I am zoomed out, but those poles there that go all the way up to the top. I don't know whether you can pick them up. I'm only on a little screen here, but they're 14.5 meters, I think, high. And they basically just about get to the very apex. So so if you're standing on tiptoe and wafting them around, but they are quite heavy, and you've got to be very careful, otherwise you end up wrecking your model. And I could probably show everybody a wrecked model hanging on a wire as well if you want to see it.
Okay. While you're walking over there, Colin Arnold, on the subject of poles, says,
Yes.
what happens if you accidentally touch another flyer's model with your steering pole?
Yeah, if you do that, basically the other person has a reflight option, so they have the ability to refly. It has been known with balloons that you steer the wrong model. It's very easy to do. They're all translucent. They're not like outdoor models, RC models, that are bright colours and you can distinguish. They all look the same. We sometimes put pen spots on them or things like that, but you know, that sometimes it just happens, you steer the wrong one. There is then the opportunity to have a reflight for that competitor. Often it's, you know, people just say, no, carry on, we're okay with it. So I'm going to try and see if I can zoom in on a model that was stuck on the wire. It's in the middle of the screen there. There's a bit remnants of it.
Yes, we can see that, yes.
Yeah, that was a beautiful 35 centimeter model that was 20 minutes into its flight and decided to hit on a wire. Those wires are on pulleys and they've got oil on them. Over many, many years. I don't know when this building, I imagine this building was built in the 60s, in the Tito regime or something like that. And yeah, so the oil builds up, and if you stick on it, you stick on it. So yeah.
He was clearly late with this pole, was he?
He didn't quite get there. Yeah, okay. So
right. Question from Peter Becker, who I think is across in the States. He does correspond with us quite regularly.
Okay.
He says he flew in the 1950s. Are folks still using microfilm from nitrate dope spread on water?
Yep. They're not anymore, no. The gentleman we were with earlier, Deso Orsavai, who is, it's really good when people come in. So he's the man just behind the guy in grey there. Deso, just turning his back to us. He makes microfilm, and he's one of the few people who actually makes it for supply at the moment. But no, nobody really uses it. A few people do for other classes, but not for F1D and not for a lot of the competitive classes. It's too fragile, very difficult to maneuver the models about. If you touch it with your fingers, it tends to tear. The plastic films that we use are marvelous to use and handle. So no, we don't use it anymore. But
I think we might need a winter session where you can show us covering one then.
I would love to do that. I'm not going to cover it with microfilm, because the only problem is, well, it leaves a lovely scum mark all the way around a bath, and all of those of you out there who have made it out of microfilm and you've done it in the bath and never told mother, well, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. We seem to have a competition going for the baklava. David Linley says he'll pay the kids entry fee to keep it for some baklava.
Oh right, it's €100 the entry fee, so it's expensive baklava. But yes, his grandfather's got more baklava than you can imagine. It's quite wonderful. His wife is yeah, we spoke to her on the phone the other day as best we could, and just thanked her for it. And yeah, it's wonderful. But I don't know whether I can show everybody the baklava. We are digressing now, but hey, why not? We can show you. I can show you baklava.
Food and beer is very important.
Yeah, I can show you. Look, here we go. One of our wonderful timekeepers who's been an amazing job. We have baklava.
Excellent.
It is the best baklava I've ever tasted. Look at that, homemade. This pot was full, but I think there was more than that as well. Oh, sorry about the gimbal there. That's just going. Oh, we'll get it back up again. Hang on. There we go. Excellent. So there we go.
Yeah, feel
baklava.
free to bring us up.
Can you taste it from there? Look,
Almost.
It is the famous baklava. It's
Right.
and just to prove that we don't leave leftovers, we had the most amazing meal last night, and we had a takeaway. We had to take away everything that was left over. These are it's mainly the chips that got left, and so
right. But I think
there we
going
go.
to go back to questions. You're making me.
Yeah, let's go back. Yeah.
We've only
do
a couple of questions left. Colin Upshur is asking, is the rubber motor lubricated?
It is indeed. So yeah, the motors are all lubricated. If they're not lubricated, they just have no longevity. They bind together. Everybody's using pure silicon. It's usually medical grade silicon. There's all different viscosities of it, and I won't bother to go into that. But essentially, just get a really top quality with no chemicals in it. You want pure silicon, because otherwise it's got, you don't know what the chemicals are going to do to your rubber, especially if you've got really good rubber that is not made anymore. Yeah. Don't wear it out.
No, indeed. So Brian Lever says, were the non-FAI classes flown yesterday by the young gentleman that was on earlier? If so, were there any for the average sport indoor flyer?
They were all, technically they're all FAI. So yesterday was F1N, which is hand launch glider, indoor hand launch glider. There was a class called 150, which is a small catapult glider, 150 class. It's 150 span, 150 millimeters, 6 inches in old money, and that was flown. So that, yes, and that is massive. Oh, sorry about that again, guys. That is massive around the country, around the world. Certainly in Eastern Europe and a few other countries. These little catapult models are amazing. And in here, the times were about 46 seconds for those, and he flew incredibly well. Certainly showed me how to do it for the first time. I'd never flown this class before, and he gave me a good beating. So I don't mind admitting it. It was good to see. His father is probably the best in the world as well. So he's got a very good tutor, his grandfather. So yeah, really good. So that was the main. They were the two classes that were flown yesterday. So one is in answer to Brian's. One is an FAI class, F1N, and the second one is not, but it is very much targeted at juniors. Many juniors fly in Belgrade in this class. So yeah, absolutely.
Peter Becker's just saying, I think referring back to using the bath and nitrate dope, he says, yes, he did, and he got yelled at. He's just getting back into it, and he's mentioned an F1D model kit that's available from China for $12 US.
Indeed, yeah, it's I've seen it, and I've seen a lot of the technical guys. A good friend of mine, Ed Liam, in Canada, has built one. I don't know. I'm not sure Ed's in the room. Tapio, I think Tapio's even seen it as well. It's certainly not an F1D. Okay. It's the picture on the box is I think it's Larry Caillou's model. It was an American flyer from the who did a lot in the 70s and 80s. If I'm right, David Linney would correct me on that. The picture is that, and the model that you get in the box is slightly different. So, but I'm told it's good value for that. So, anything to promote indoor duration, go give it a go.
Excellent stuff. And Paul Howie, do you know how they encourage junior flyers, and can we learn anything from Croatia?
We can learn a huge amount. The lights are on here. That means kicking out time soon. I think we can learn a huge amount from here. And I'm sort of talking to Vladimir and others about it. A lot of it comes from the schools. A lot of it comes from their curriculum. Although I have to say that Vladimir was telling me that certainly in Croatia, their curriculum is changing, and some of the technology where they were previously building model kits. So, for instance, A1 glider kits and others as part of their curriculum has stopped now, and it's going more towards IT, which I think was where we're probably at in the UK. And so yes, I'm, part and parcel of what I'm here for, and I've spent a lot of time with Vladimir, and he's been the most amazing host. Is learning to try and bring it back to everybody in the UK and other countries. So let's see what we can do.
Thank you. Well, that's it for questions. There are just a couple of general comments from the chat. Ian Kane says the World Cup is valid this year, but no events were entered in advance for this year.
Right.
Planned events will have to register by November the 15th to be included in 2023 World Cup.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ian.
Etc. Normal to free flight rules. Philip Russo sounds like he's on holiday in Greece. It's a shame you went all that way, really, when we've got scorching temperatures here. Probably warmer here at the moment. It says, this is brilliant, guys. Breaking new boundaries, setting high standards for the future. Thank you.
Brilliant. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you. And I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And, again, this is something that we want to promote for Vladimir and Croatia as well. They've put a lot of money and effort into this, a lot of personal money as well, to promote this. So I think we do need to support it, and I think that was one of the reasons, and also to bring it to others. And let's learn from it. And Andy, yes, we'll certainly do one at Buckminster coming soon.
Yes, that'd be good.
That would be really good. And we know the technology sort of works. I've got this wonderful gimbal here, which you see glimpses of. Well, the gimbal allows you to zoom. It allows you to do all these wonderful things, but unfortunately, through Zoom, it gives you nothing. So it's very manual. If you
I think it's worked reasonably well. Yeah.
Well, as long as people haven't got motion sickness and they're not all, all vomiting in the corner, although the heat's probably causing that. So
the picture's been very steady, actually, and I think you've always got the manual zoom of using your legs, haven't you? So.
Well, you have, and if I could run round, I would. I went for a run this morning. Chaz will be very pleased to hear that. I had a lovely run this morning, and I was a bit sluggish for the first mile because I think I'd eaten about 3 pigs last night and half a chicken. So sorry, vegetarians. Andy and I always talk about this, but
yeah, what I think about pigs and their destiny to be eaten.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we've got something barbecued and skewers tonight, so I'm looking forward to something as well. And we don't have to eat well here. It's fabulous. Yeah. And just for everybody, just to prove that the whole world has gone mad, fuel costs here are nearly €2 a litre. So it's happening all over, and food prices are going up the same rate as ours as well. So it seems to be very much a European issue. So
right,
I'm going to leave everybody soon
because all the questions. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm glad it's worked. I'm going to give Vladimir his phone back in a minute with his Wi-Fi tether as well, because we've been using his wonderful connection. He's got 5G here. UK needs to learn a little bit on that, really. They've got.
Yeah, I think that will be the issues we have trying to do this from Buckminster. I think I'm not convinced we'll have the broadband capacity from the hangar or a decent enough Wi-Fi connection, but we can try. We can
do it. We can certainly try, and we'll give it a go. We'll do whatever we can. So I'm going to sign off here, Andy, and leave you to wrap everything up. And I'm going to get Vladimir to again just say goodbye from Karlovac, because I say it terribly. And then Vladimir, can I just get you to say goodbye from Croatia and Karlovac, because I say it badly. I'm gonna. Here's my mate
again.
here.
Hello again. I'd like to wish everybody good night, goodbye. We're done for the day. Looking very much forward to the rest of the week here in Karlovac with everybody.
Karlovac, you see, I'm getting better at it once I hear it.
You'll get it in the next couple of days.
He's going to abuse me all night now with getting this language right. I'm starting to learn anyway. Excellent. So good night, everybody, and we'll see you all soon.
If you'd thank Vlad from all of us for allowing you to walk around annoying everybody.
He's just saying thank you from everybody, or everybody who's watching. Thank you for allowing me to run around and annoy everybody for a while.
Excellent. So anytime, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah. All right.
It's been an excellent session. Thanks, Mark.
We're all going for a beer now.
Enjoy. Yeah.
Thank you, and I hope it cools down quickly tonight.
Yeah. Unlikely, I think.
All right. Thank you, guys. See you later.
Cheers, Mark. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Right. There you go. Well, I think that worked out rather well. Thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight. We will keep you informed of any future sessions. We are contemplating something similar from Buckminster in the not-too-distant future. More news about that once it's confirmed. And I think everybody should go have a nice cool beer now and cool off, hopefully. And we'll see you all next time. Cheers, everybody.